hustling my whole life. I stay hustling my whole life.
Pitchin Grindnin podcast with your host KLASSIK, ANAYA, DAFFE, and Aaron.
What up? What up? What up? Another week we here. What's going on, y'all?
What's
Nothing, man.
going on?
Ain't nothing. We here grinding, doing what
Looking forward to this interview. Looking forward to this weekend, the music conference. So
There's a lot going on this week.
a lot going on.
Great.
Lot going on.
Man, January's moving fast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's almost February already, ain't it?
Yeah. That's how fast the year go.
I think they say the older you get, the faster it go, right?
Yep.
That's what they say.
Because when you get older, you start looking at the time and everything. When you're young, you don't pay attention to that.
No. You one day you in kindergarten, the next year you 6'2" in sophomore high school. Yeah, but this shit going real quick. Well, it needs to get hot quicker because I hear in the Northeast they're having snow. Down here has been kind of,
Yeah.
A lot of rain.
There's
Lot of rain.
It's the wintertime.
I hate the wintertime.
Every season needs its just due, you know?
I love the winter. I get to wear my Timbs and everything, So I wish I
I had my
could wear
kids
my
on
Levi's.
yesterday.
If I never have to wear the North Face snorkel,
I love it.
and sheepskin, I want to just hang out with no shoes on, no shirt, and just walking around.
Just like
The only season I want is hot.
I love the winter time,
Yeah.
You know, there's places you can move where, like, that's the year-round, like, norm. Just saying.
Hey, it is what it is. So, the internet is buzzing up with Cat Williams.
I
I heard the podcast when I was riding up to Virginia. It was entertaining. It wasn't anything that I will hold to abreast, to follow the words, but like in every industry, protect your material. And that goes in the music business, and that goes into producers, writers. Protect your shit, because somebody will steal it and hold it as their own and make a profit off you. That's just the business of business. People will steal your shit.
Do they copyright their jokes?
I don't know how that business works. I know one thing. You don't have to go word for word to have the same joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can have the same type of play or whatever, but I don't know if they have any publishing like that. I just know, remember Paul Mooney? A lot of people didn't really care for Paul Mooney stand-up.
I love him.
Huh?
I love him.
Right. So he was actually the writer of some of the biggest acts there was.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them collaborate with other writers. They just don't primarily write their shit. Rappers don't either. You know what I mean? There's always someone that's throwing something in there or helping them out. Not to say there's ghostwriters, but I don't know how that industry works. But I do know one thing. And in the industry you in, somebody will steal your shit.
Oh, yeah. People are always going to steal your stuff no matter what. Or they're going to try.
Oh, they're going to imitate.
Mm-hmm. They're going to definitely try. That's just...
And, it doesn't just come if you got money. There's a lot of poor people that people imitate their shit on a daily.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I know there was this artist in Ohio that I know. She had a situation with Lotto behind a song. I can't remember the song, but it definitely sounded like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it was...
Well, it's a funny thing. There's an artist out of Charlotte, Tiny Montana. Sounded like Cardi B stole her shit, allegedly.
Oh yeah, I know Tiny.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, you guys you're artists yourself. Anybody ever stole your shit? You don't have to answer it.
So I don't think as far as like song word for word. But it was interesting because I was having a conversation with somebody about what I was going to name a certain project. And I literally hadn't told nobody but this one person.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe like a year, it was around like a year later, this artist that, you know, of course, had a larger following than me and stuff like that or whatever, but she still hadn't like really popped yet. You know what I'm saying? At the level that she's at now. But she came out with a project and it just so happened to be the exact same thing.
Well, don't tell her shit no more, because the next thing
no,
will be
no. Here's the thing. I didn't tell her. I told him, but he knows both of us.
Oh.
And he's the only person, so I know it came from him. I feel like he had a conversation with her and was like, oh, you know what you should do? Because she rap, I sing. You know what I'm saying? But I was just like, what are the odds of somebody saying that exactly? Really?
People going to go out there and they're going to try to take your stuff no matter
what. What about you, Classic? You're a producer. Well, I mean, there's other stuff that we've done together that people have.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was about to get into.
But
it happens every day, a million times.
A matter of fact, like millionaires done stole our ideas
all the time.
More than once, cocksuckers. But all I can do is laugh at it, learning lessons. But I'd be like, you rich already. Why you taking the concepts already? This was years ago, but still, it happened more than once.
Yeah, no, as far as me being a producer, ain't nobody never stick, because all my stuff copywritten. Okay. So if I did need to do that, I'm going straight to court. But ain't nobody steal anything from me or come close to it or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Is it possibly because you play your own beats and shit like that?
That's a possibility. Yeah, okay. You know, but it has never happened before. So I know it has happened to other people that I have, come across and stuff. But a lot of people don't take care of their business. So when your business not right, that's what's going to happen.
Well, you've never really worked under anybody. You've always did your own. A lot of people that work under people, this goes with writers. This goes with people like even scientists, right? People that like Edison did discover, or he did not invent the light bulb. Somebody that worked for him did, but he worked for Edison.
He gets the credit for it.
He took the credit for it.
Right, because Edison funded the project. So it's his shit. But yeah, so it's everybody that's a creative, a business person, especially business. People cut your throat real quick. Corporate gangsters.
Yeah, that happened to Facebook. My man took the idea of it, and made a ton of money, and he got sued for it. And the people that his friends that came up with the whole idea, they got some money because they sued him. But it didn't matter because you see how much money he's still worth.
Right. Well, he's saying he don't even look at Facebook no more. He's learning Muay Thai and fucking MMA. And
he's so rich.
He'll fuck somebody up right now, Zuckerberg.
And he also just bought it's like some kind of like $1 billion underground compounds, and everybody's like, why are we not asking questions as to why the hell he even needs that? Like, what the hell is happening? What's about to happen? What's going on? You know what I'm saying? Because like it's an underground compound. It has like all like state of the art type technology and all this stuff to where he could basically just like live under there and create a community. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, if I had a couple $1 billion, I would try some shit like that too. Let's go to space. Let's go in the water. I mean, so like you seen that Obama movie? That's on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
It's something of that, right? So if the shit hits the fan for a little bit, at least you got a place that you can go to and figure it out. And if you got a year's,
well, you gotta have a bomb shelter or whatever that was.
You might as well. If you can afford
house he ended up in.
Well, that's the thing. Like, this is beyond that. You know what I'm saying? Because like the average homeowner can create and build their own bomb shelter. But this is like beyond that. This is like damn near a whole community. It's like
big up Zuckerberg. Shit. If the shit hits the fan, let me get in that motherfucker. I'll be high for a little bit.
He got the money.
If you got
the money, do what he want. That's just like Bill Gates. You know what I'm saying? They be taking their money doing some old craziness.
Well, Elon Musk talk about to me the worst one out of all of them.
Who's that?
Elon Musk.
Is he?
Tesla. Oh
really?
Yeah, he's like a mad scientist, of course. Yeah, for sure.
They all are mad scientists when they come in with that money.
Him and Bill Gates are the ones that bother me the most because they like to play in the biological field a little too much for me, and none of them have any type of medical biological background. They're not doctors or anything like that. But if you notice, during the entire pandemic, everybody was talking about what Bill Gates suggested and what he felt like we should do. And this is what he said. He's not a fucking doctor. Why are we leaning on what this man is saying? Like all of this artificial food and all that shit is coming from him. All the GMO.
People always listen to people when they got money.
Exactly.
They don't listen to normal people like they ain't smart enough. But
no,
you got money, people pay attention to you.
Right. And there's plenty of dummies that's rich.
That's
Not
all.
too many, but there's some dummies. There's some egotistical maniacs out there that think they know everything that are rich.
I don't think he's a dummy. I just think that we shouldn't put so much faith into what a person says just because they're rich.
Right.
Especially when that's not the fucking field. You know?
Right.
I ain't mad at it.
Like,
what time is our guest getting on tonight?
She's here.
She's here. Let's let her in.
Hi, welcome.
Hey, how are you?
Hi.
What's up? Welcome to the Pitchin Grindnin podcast.
How y'all doing?
We're good. We're good. You snowed in up there?
Nah, it's no snow.
Oh, you doing good then?
Yeah, yeah.
You doing real good. That's
well, happy New Year to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Same to you.
Yeah, how the New Year been treating you so far?
It's been really good. It's been good. It's been really good. I've been booked and busy, so I'm happy already.
And ain't nothing wrong with being booked and busy.
Yeah.
So tell us, how did you get into music? You know, like what made you want to do music? You could have did a million things out there, but you chose music.
Yeah, I actually been doing music for a very, very long time, like over 20 years. My father was with Public Enemy. He would Prince Colin. He did albums with Terminator X and Flavor Flav and Chuck D. And I was like maybe 6, 7 years old, you know. So he was a reggae artist, but he was doing shows and he would bring me on stage with him. You know, I had my little 1-2 lines, you know. So I've been doing music ever since I can remember.
That's what it is.
Yeah, my first mixtape, I think I was like 18 or 19 that I put out. So
So this isn't nothing new. This is just something you're coming back to. Or
yeah, definitely not new. Definitely not new. I mean, I was doing music before I went away. I was doing a lot of showcases. And then obviously I was gone for a long time. And then literally the day I got back, I was in the studio. So I've always been doing music.
So tell us about this song, Run It Up. Like, what's the concept behind it? Like, what made you, do this song?
Yeah, so the song is really like, just telling people, get your bag, however you can get your bag, just run it up, and however you do it, however you're doing, do it well, whatever you're doing. So the concept is just about, running it up and basically talking about what I do, because I definitely run it up. It doesn't matter whether I'm teaching something. It doesn't matter whether I'm doing credit repair. It doesn't matter whether I'm selling a course. It doesn't matter if I'm doing my music, just go super hard. So just run it up. That's really the concept of the song.
Well, you're author. So did you pen a children's book on lending and money? Can you give us a little? Yeah, because that's the big run it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
From the youngin. So what's that based on? Because when I saw that, I said, oh, this is a part of activism as well, like financial activism. You know what I mean? More than other type of reform. Can you explain a little bit of that?
Yeah, sure. So I am big on especially like Black history and teaching, about us, and like I tell people all the time during the civil rights era. Oh, you can eat at this restaurant now. You can bring your little black butt to this restaurant. Oh, you can drink from this water fountain. Oh, you can even go and learn at these schools. But what we were not able to do was get into the banking system. Right. And to this day, we have no control over the way money flows through our neighborhoods, communities, etc. And we also have a negative relationship with money. A lot of times growing up, you ask your mother for something. I don't got no money for that. It's like, I ain't got time for that. When you think money grow on trees, we created a negative connection with money. Wherein is other households are like, yeah, they learned about the stock market and they're hearing, different verbatim and different vocabulary about money, and they get a different connection with money than we have. So I was like, I did it almost right. You know, I was able, because I know a lot of broke hustlers. I know a lot of broke drug dealers. I know a lot of broke scammers, right? And when I look at what happened with me, I'm like, okay, maybe this wasn't the legal way to do it, but I still amassed, you know, millions and millions of dollars. So I did something right.
Right.
What if I had, you know, certain knowledge? What if I had, you know, not just figured this out on my own and, you know, were a little bit formally educated about money? So this book was about basically giving children the opportunity to understand money at a very, very early age, you know, information that they're not getting in the household. So the book is called Larry the Lending Lion, and it teaches children about lending. It teaches children about not just lending, but one of the other characters is Hippo Hector the tax collector, and explains how taxes work.
Right.
And I said, how can I combine my skills, right? So I do music, you know, I rap, and then I'm an author. So the book rhymes, you know, so it's better for retention for the kids. And at the end of the book, you know, there's a bunch of questions. They understand interest. They understand what checks are. They understand what good credit is versus bad credit. You know, they understand. And there's a little financial morality that's in there. So you know that you could get your bag and you don't have to get in trouble behind it. Because I didn't want, you know, them to follow behind my footsteps. You know, that's a lot of time. I lost a lot of years. And I feel like if I had known certain things, that probably wouldn't have happened. So that's really my give back, you know, to teach the youth, especially in our communities, about money and how money works and how it circulates and all those good things. So
that's amazing. I love that. I would like to see, you know, there's a lot of politics going on right now about what books should be in schools, what books shouldn't be in schools, but that sounds like something that we should definitely be advocating for, to be
for real, to be in schools.
Yeah,
absolutely. So
I wish somebody would have told me about the tax man.
Right. No, that's a fact.
No, it's a fact. Like, I wish somebody would told me about the tax man, because he's something. IRS is something else.
Yeah, because in the book, it's very, very short. There's a part where I say, I think it's like, it says schools, streets, stores are things that all may seem free, but really they're not. We all must pay a fee. And then it goes down, like, explains that that's taxes. So it's just easy for them to remember, you know?
I love that. Do they still have book fairs? Do they have book fairs in school still?
Yeah, they still have it.
That would be a book that I would want at the book fair.
They still have it.
They do, but I'm taking it one step further. I'm actually almost finished. The characters are being built life size, like Barney, for example. I'll be able to go to the school auditoriums and we'll actually be doing like a short play, and it'll be interactive. So that's where we're going with that.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that.
I heard something that you said on an interview, like finance is like a triangle, right? And they try to, you know, like even in music, to be the big, you know, to be the top dog, or even in, you know, even publishing your own book or owning the book company, they try to keep us out, right? So if you start with the youth, because probably the kids could tell the parents a little bit of something, or remind them of what it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of the parents love the book too, because they learn, you know, and there's a game also that goes with it where, you know, either the parent or the kid could be the banker, and then somebody is like the entrepreneur, the borrower, and there's a credit score keeper. So everybody starts off at a certain score, and you can choose to either borrow money and the score drops, or you can choose, instead of borrowing, you can choose to pay off rip, and the score goes up. But when you pay, you receive money that doesn't cost you any interest. So it's giving you choices. Do you want to get the higher score, or do you want to have more money? And as you go through the game, it's a series of choices, simple choices. So you pull a card and they ask you two things. Do you want to pay interest to the bank, or do you want to pay money and move forward? But when you pay interest, your credit goes up. When you borrow, you know, there's a bunch of different choices. So it's a really cool game, and it teaches them how to make critical decisions when it comes to money.
That's a brilliant idea.
And you came up with all these concepts?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, all these concepts, all me.
That's crazy.
So with that being said, we were just talking about the matter of making sure that your work is, you know, protected and everything, behind, you know, the recent Cat Williams interview and him saying that people stole his stuff. How do you go about doing that with something like that? Because it's so many different things in one.
Everything is copywritten. So, you know, it's really simple. I mean, sometimes when you're in a creative space, like say as an artist, you go to the studio and you're trying to think like, I need a bar for this, and somebody throws you a line. You don't think it's a big deal, but if it becomes a hit, next thing you know, this person is saying, oh, you stole my song or you stole my line. So even when it comes to, it doesn't matter how small, I copyright everything. You know what I mean? It's Form TX. If you go to the U.S. Library of Congress, for anybody listening, if you want to copyright your information, you just go to librarycongress.gov or .org, and you go to Form TX, and you can copyright anything, and it just costs you a couple of dollars. You know, so my father taught me that when I was really, really young. You know, he told me that was the form. Always remember Form TX on the U.S. Library of Congress. Always protect yourself.
Shit, it's adults that need to learn that stuff in that game that you got.
Yeah. I mean, I'm an avid reader and an avid studier. You know what I mean? And that's what I think will give me an edge in the music game, because I've been kind of coming in on a very, like, you know, kind of simple basis. But once I get fully, you know, once I get that one joint to pop, then they really can see how much of a lyricist I am. Because sometimes as a female, you come in that way, you know, you're not booty shaking and all of that. Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult. So I'm like, all right, let me come in the game, you know, but then, you know, my intellect has always been my strongest point throughout my entire life, you know, so.
You got a VH1 special coming out. Tell us about that.
Oh, yeah. So my true crime story, shout out to VH1. It took them, this is season 2, but it's really season 3. I don't know. There was some confusion because the network, you know, got sold. There was an acquisition of VH1. So this really was supposed to be season 3, but this is like season 2B, I guess. But they put my story to the side twice because they thought it was too complicated to tell. They felt like the audience wouldn't get it. And I thought that was an insult. And I'm like, listen, we're not stupid. They'll understand if it's broken down properly. So, excuse me, when it came around this time, they was like, yo, we got to get her on the show. And whoever took over, not only did they take over and say we got to get her on the show, they actually paid me even more money because they were like, you know, we should have been had you on the show. And, you know, and it's a little bit different than when I did American Gangster. You know, I talked about things that you know, it's really only 40 minutes of airtime because there's commercials and things. Yeah. And it's such a huge story. So people watching this are gonna get a different feeling than when they watched American Gangster on BET.
Yeah, because they gave a brief synopsis. If you don't know the financial industry and know how money works, you're like, how does that work? Because at a present point in time, I didn't know that you had to be, even if you did have a certain amount of money, you just couldn't, you know what I mean? You had to be kind of vouched for to put it forward to invest and stuff. Like, you know,
for those types of trades. Yeah.
Right. Like, we don't know that until you educate. Like, even if I have the money, I can't do it unless I'm a certified person.
Right.
So when I saw that, I said, oh, I learned something now.
Yeah. That's really, I think, what they were scared of too, because I'm like, why I'm getting so much time? And there's so many other like Wall Street people, and I met that got a year and a day or probation or 6 months, and you know their losses were hundreds of millions of dollars. I didn't have any losses. You know what I mean? I was paid a fee to perform a service. So it's like, why y'all giving me so much time? But then I realized like there were so many other women, you know, especially Black women and Black people that were like, oh, I could do this. You know, I think they wanted to really make sure that they made the message clear that like, stay in your lane. You know, stay in your lane. So it was a lot. It was a lot that came along with that. But I'm glad I was able to help a lot of people. I made a lot of millionaires. You know, I made a lot of people a lot of money that look like us. So I don't regret it. I'm just sad I didn't get to go hard with the rapping a little earlier.
Right. No, I get where you coming from with that, because if people don't know your history, they think like, she just started up after she come home or something like that, not knowing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's been something that's going on.
100%.
With the VH1 thing, did you help put it together? Like, did you guide them in certain ways? Like, what was I know it's your story, but what was your influence on helping this thing come together?
So the series had already existed. Actually, my best friend did the first season. 2 of my friends actually did the first season. Shawana King, Monica Class. We were locked up together, and also Jamila Davis. They also did the first season. So I'd known about the show, and they had mentioned me to, you know, the producers. So when they came and interviewed me, you know, I knew that the story, I didn't want to look like I didn't want people to feel like they were watching a repeat of American Gangster. So, you know, in that way, I guided them as to, you could tell the story in this way. I tried to touch on the part that I missed. So that's the way that I guided it. But the show already existed, and they kind of had a format that they followed. And what's really dope is I started getting messages from this girl hit me up, and she was like, "Yo, Aisha Hall, I played you. You know, I acted as you." I was like, "Oh shit." She was like, "I acted as you." She was like, "Yo, it was so crazy playing you. You know, like, oh, how did you do all of that?" So she's gonna come to the premiere and all of that.
Oh,
and
nice.
I thought it was dope. And then all of a sudden, the other actors that played me in the show started reaching out to me too. So I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. So they're all gonna come. So that's cool. Like the cast will be there.
That's
kind of
dope.
That's
dope.
That's what it is. They get to, you know, see the real you and stuff like that. That's what it is. You have any other TV things that you're working on, like some new stuff that you're working on the side or anything?
Yeah, 100%. Two things. So, you know, while I was away, I wrote 13 books.
Right. Wow. Saw that.
Yeah. They're urban books. So I've been talking to a friend of mine that works with Tubi, which is the network for that, because they're urban books. Right. And Tubi's actually giving up the bag right now for good content. So I'm working on, you know, doing some stuff over there with those books, because, you know, I wrote them there and they're just kind of, you know, they're selling here and there, but that would be a dope way to close it out, you know, and turn them into either series or movies. So I'm working with that. And then also I'm working with Marquand Smith. He is the creator of Godfather of Harlem.
Okay. That's my show.
Bumpy.
Yeah, that's everybody.
I love Bumpy.
Classic, love that show.
Yeah, that show is fire. That's
one of the best shows
on TV.
It is. It is.
It really is. It really is. And I'm working with Fatima Washington. She was one of the producers on American Gangster Trap Queens, and she fell in love with my story, and she's been rocking with me ever since. So we've been really, you know, putting together this series. I really want Tiana Taylor to play me. I think she would be really, really dope. And we're talking about big things like, you know, HBO Max, Cinemax type of thing. So yeah, it should be. It's like a cross between Queen of the South and the show Billions. You know, that's where we're trying to go with it on that level. So I'm really excited to be working on that. And then, you know, just the music.
That's talk about the music. King in a Dress. I like that. I like that song. Yeah. He said king is not a gender, it's a position. So you can get into that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in like African folklore and, you know, in our history, the women who were what we would call queens, they used to call them kings. In their language, that some there wasn't a word for queen. It was a king. It's a position that's held. So, you know, somebody actually gave me that name. You know, a lot of places I go, they always like, "Yo, East, you realer than a lot of these niggas out here. You know, you like a king in a dress." I was like, that kind of goes with my whole concept of, you know, because I'm really, really old school when it comes to like, you know, the way I conduct myself, you know, and just like sticking to like the code. You know, if I do something wrong, I stand up and I hold my ground. You know what I mean? And a lot of that is a little funny style right now. So, you know, I wanted to make sure that I make it clear that I am a female, but I'm also, you know, a king in her own right, because, you know, anybody that I deal with in my circle, I take care of all my people. You know what I mean? My team, if somebody's with me, they're eating, you know? So, yeah, I thought it was fitting.
No, I like the concept. I like that, you know, how it went down. That's run it up, king in a dress. Let's keep it moving, keep it going. Yeah.
But my next big single that I'm really excited about is me and Ghostface. I have a song with him called Insecure that we're gonna drop. That's fire, super fire. It kind of reminds me of when him and Tiana did that song. Right. You know, like a relationship type of song. We kind of beefed out, you know, but it's really dope, you know. So and I didn't even know he was gonna. Ghost takes forever to get on a record. He got so much going on. He's on world tours. Yeah. So I sent him the record, like, what you think, you know, if you'd be interested in getting on it or whatever. So he was like, I think it's fire. And then a couple of days later, you know, he sent me something and I listened and I was like, oh shoot. I was
like that joint. He really liked that joint then.
Really liked it. Yes, and he believes in it. So, you know, we just trying to line up everything. So when we drop it, it goes crazy.
That's awesome. It sounds like you got a big 2024 rollout lined up with the books that you might be turning into series, movies. 13 books, that's a lot. How do you even start the process, you know, to write one book, let alone 13?
You want to know how it started? It's really funny. So when I got into federal prison, initially I was in MDC Brooklyn, right? And that's like a place where they hold, you know, while you go into court, all the federal inmates. And I remember everybody was reading these books. All the girls on their bunks was reading these books and was going crazy over it. And the book was called Thugs and the Women Who Loved Them, right? And then it was Thug Matrimony and Thug Passion. It was like 5 books. And they was passing them around crazy. Yeah. So I was like, let me read one of these books. So when I read the book, I was hooked. It was so good. And when I got to the back of the book, it was, you know, the author was Wahida Clark, and she's a New York Times bestselling author. But when I read about the author, it says she wrote it while she was serving 10 years in federal prison. Oh, and she became a New York Times bestselling author from the feds. Wow. So I was immediately inspired. You know what I'm saying? I was like, you know what? I write music and I'm a storyteller in my music. So I was like, maybe I could do this as an extended version of a song, you know? Right. So I remember one of my homegirls was getting her hair braided, and I wrote like a chapter. And I said, well, she's sitting there doing nothing. You mind if I read this to you? So I read her the first chapter. And when I looked up, it was like 5 other girls sitting around like, you don't got no more? And I was like, I'm going to have some more for y'all tomorrow. And I remember staying up all night and writing like 3 more chapters. And every day we would come into a little group and I would read to them what I wrote. And they was like hooked. They were like, so that's how I ended up finishing the first book in like 2 weeks because I didn't want to disappoint the girls because they were like waiting to hear more of the story, you know? And that's when I finished my first novel. And I was like, wow, like I could really do this. And then I went on to just write more and more books. And that's just 13 books that I wrote for myself. There's more books that I wrote, you know, where I was a ghostwriter. I wrote a lot of the women's stories. Some have even gone on to become big bestsellers. But, you know, I honor my word. I was a ghostwriter. They paid me. I wrote the story. So I really wrote like 17 books, you know, because I wrote, and these are like 300 and 400 page novels. Like they're not like some little thin little whatever. It's real storytelling. So I picked up that skill. That's how I got through my time.
Wow.
That's dope.
Productive. Real productive.
You know, I always tell people throw that word boss around a lot. You know, and I feel like if you're a boss in any circumstance. It doesn't matter. So when I got to prison, I could have just easily just cried and, you know, did my time like oh, I can't believe this happened. Or I could boss up. You know what I mean? And I never depended on anybody before. So I'm like, what can I do, you know, to take care of myself? So I knew that if I wrote books, even if I at first I wasn't going to publish, I was going to write chapters and sell the chapters for stamps because they were so thirsty for the story. I was going to keep it simple and just do it on some jail shit. Yeah. But once I saw what I was able to do, I was like, you know what? Let me see if I could publish. And I literally was making like, I would say every 90 days I got a check from Amazon, and it went to my publisher, and then she would send me the money on my books. I was getting like $2,500. That's a lot of money in prison. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of it I spent back on writing more books because I had to pay for minutes to type, but I was able to take care of myself. And that really motivated me because I'm like, oh, I ain't got to ask nobody for no money. I don't have to put this burden on my family. I can just write, you know, use my imagination and buy commissary. Oh, this is cool right here. You know, so.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question about producers, right? Now, I know you probably got your in-house producers that you work with and stuff like that. Now, if you working on an album, give me your top 5.
My top 5?
That, you know, if you doing an album and you can just have whatever you want, top 5, and why?
All right, so I definitely 100% Hitmaker, 100%. He's like would be at the top of my list. I haven't heard him miss yet. He just got a certain ear, you know, for sure. Also, Heatmakers.
The Heatmakers from Harlem.
Yes, they produced a couple of songs for me already, and fire. He killed it. Definitely. You know who's a great producer, and he don't really want to make beats anymore, but he has some of the best, because I do a little reggae.
Okay.
Getting ready to ask you that, but go ahead.
Yeah, Sarani. So
Okay.
Sarani is one of the best reggae producers, and a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
And you talking about if I can get anybody I want?
Anybody. You got the whole
Dr. Dre.
Dr.
Dre, 100%. If I could get Dr. Dre to make me a track.
Dr. Dre too.
Shit, you be in that studio 8 months in a row.
Yeah, for real.
He gonna get it right.
100%. And who else? Also, who I love as a producer. 808 Mafia. I think they super fire. Yeah.
Down in Miami, all right.
Yeah. So
that's what it is. That's your dream album right there.
That's it right there.
You're a hustler, so you're gonna make it happen.
I'm definitely gonna make it happen. I'm gonna make it happen some kind of way.
You already got one of them, so you just gotta get the other four.
I saw the clip where you said like it was the day that you got out. You were in the car ride for like 10 hours.
Oh, I was just rapping.
So was that all freestyles? Is the combination of stuff that you did over the years? Like how did that work?
Yeah, it was a combination. It was freestyles and a combination. I did a lot of writing when I was away. I probably wrote like 50 songs, and imagine not able to hear loud music. I only could hear through my headphones.
Right.
So it was cool to be able to, I had my MP3 player and I was able to plug it up and hear it a little bit different, like hear the music and myself. So I was so excited to do that. Like I was like, I'm probably driving my family crazy, but I just rapped the whole way, and then to, find out about YouTube having all those beats and all of that, I went crazy because I'm like, what? Most of the time I was like, in prison or beating on my chest or something. Yeah. And so to have just access, I'm a real lover of music. Like I don't do it just because it's cool. It's part of who I am. Like music got me through my bed. So it's like to come home and have access to just all this music. I went crazy that car ride home. I went super crazy.
So you thinking about doing a reggae?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Anaya.
Oh no, I was just gonna ask. Being that you freestyle and you write, do you see yourself going into like freestyling a little bit more, like going that lane, like the battles and stuff?
No, I'm not interested in like battling and stuff like that. I like to make songs. I like
you don't want to go against a murder move.
No, I've never really been a good shit talker. Like that's not really my thing. Like, it's kind of, you got to really like go in and go deep. If you go in that lane, you got to like really like put your claws in. And I'm not really into like hurting people like feelings. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not my thing, because I know sometimes I listen to some of this stuff and I'm like, yo, I know he felt that one. I know that was something. You know what I mean?
They get violent.
Ain't nobody too tough not to have no feelings. It'd be like, damn.
Yeah, right.
It's impossible. It's
impossible not to have feelings. Especially if you know your mama ugly, you be like, damn, you know my mama.
Exactly.
They be grilling you too, standing in your face.
Like, that's why the state came and took you from your mama. I'm like, damn, they going back, making people have, trauma, bringing up all trauma.
Right.
So you said your father, he did dancehall and reggae, or which he did both?
He did reggae.
He did reggae. So and you do a little bit of reggae yourself?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Are we gonna get a project of that extensive?
Yeah, actually, me and Sarani were actually working on a project together.
You have a couple in the bag, then producing.
Yeah. We actually have 3 songs together.
Nice.
That that's why I said I'll be trying to bring out the producer side of him because he produced for Sean Paul. Just Give Me the Light. Some of these biggest songs he produced, and nobody really knows that. I know it because he's kind of like my mentor. He's a great artist. He has like an iconic voice. And he really, like, when we do shows, he always brings me on stage like, this is the best female artist I've ever worked with, hands down. And I'm like, damn, like he really be giving me a lot of credit. So he pushes me, So yeah, I'm thinking we probably will have not probably, we will. I just don't know when we're gonna release it, but we're working on a project.
Nice. I'm looking forward to that. I'm a reggae fan. I love Sarani.
Did you hear my remix to Byron Messiah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that over a little clip.
Yeah, but I didn't realize that y'all actually had that connection though. So now I'm like, okay, that's dope.
What is your process when you're in the studio and you're making songs? What's your process?
So the way I write songs is I'm a melodic rapper. So I always come up with my melody first, how I'm going to attack the beat. I try to find the pocket first, like really trying to be like another instrument in the beat, right? And then once I figure that out, then I fill it in with my lyrics, So that's kind of my process.
You write a lot. You ever went through writer's block?
All the time. But I got a solution for that. Whenever I get writer's block, I just need a little motivation. So I go listen to some of my favorites, some of my best wordsmiths. And then I'm like, oh, he said that ill. And then my brain just starts thinking of, different concepts. So sometimes if I get writer's block, I just gotta go listen to I'll go listen to like Fab, or I'll listen to Jada. I listen to J. Cole, and then I get motivated.
Well, speaking of motivation, you also do symposium and workshops, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And what's the basis of that? You don't have to be too extensive, but what's that about?
Yeah, so it depends on what the topic is, but I do get booked all the time for different speaking events. I do like women empowerment,
Mm-hmm.
I do obviously like anything financially related, any type of like financial literacy. I speak about that. And I also practice like metaphysics. So I don't know if you're familiar with metaphysics, but okay, so it's really just like kind of like the law of attraction and how you think your way into different things, So I do a lot of speaking on that, and that's I literally transformed lives when I was away. Like I did a lot of that when I was in there. A lot of ladies now that have certain businesses and move a certain way, I took a lot of time working with them, helping them see their value and their worth, like how you think so much carves out what your life is going to be like, So I do a lot of speaking about that. That's pretty much
it.
it.
Metaphysics is I think it's a topic that we got away from, because people don't want you to think attract positivity and wealth, and they want you to go a different route and rely on others instead of yourself. So or not be a person that has their own thoughts,
Don't want you to realize your own power,
Right. Absolutely. And I get a little flack for it sometimes because like I'm not a religious person at all. I'm almost like anti-religion, because it teaches dependency still. I don't care what people's beliefs are. It's teaching you to think outside of the self, or need something outside of yourself to approve or grant you or bless you. And for me, it's like you gotta really build the God within. You know what I mean? Like it don't matter what you asking for outside of yourself. If you don't think you can do it, if you don't have the right mindset, you're just gonna sit around and think that some entity is gonna say, "Okay, today's your turn." Like it doesn't really work like that to me.
Like Reverend Ike used to say, "There's the pie in the sky, but you got to make your own pie."
Do you also feel like sometimes that religion also it kind of allows people to have a lack of accountability in some cases as well? I've found that so much. Like people will use it as a scapegoat and not take accountability.
100%. When I was away, I wrote a poem and it was called "The Day the Devil Had a Change of Heart," and I never published it, but it just made a good point because the devil came up out of hell and he was like, "I don't want to be the devil no more. I want to be a good guy," and it just threw the world so off balance, So then you have now God is complaining in the poem like, "Y'all not praising me, y'all not thinking about me," but they didn't have a reason to. Everything was perfect because there was no opposition. So and then they started complaining. Nobody was dying. Nobody was sick. People were living for 65,000 years. One lifetime. They were like, this is not making sense. So the end of the story, the people was like, we want to send the devil back to hell. Like, so they dragged him to court and God was the judge. And he said, ever since I let him come up here and change his ways, y'all don't think about me. He was like, but I'm going to tell y'all something that y'all don't understand. The devil ain't my enemy. He's my right-hand man. So the story was about balance and how everything works together, you know? So a lot of times people have things go wrong in their life and they're like, oh, you know, the devil's working, the devil's alive. Then things go right and they're like, thank God. But they never really look at what role did they play in everything that happened. You know what I'm saying? So people be like, how you made millions of dollars? How you lost millions? Made millions? Because in my story, you'll see the Fed, they took all my millions. I turned around and in less than 2 months, I was back to a millionaire again from nothing. You know what I mean? Then I did 10 years, came home, and I've made well over $1 million since I've been home. You know, well over. I've been home.
I even read that
years.
they like the Secret Service was bothering your ass.
That's who arrested me, the Secret Service.
Oh,
damn.
Wow.
That's a different type of.
Yeah, that's a
I've
different
never heard
type
of anybody.
false.
I've never heard of the Secret Service kicking in
right?
anybody's door around my way.
Yeah.
Now,
that's a little different.
Yeah, you know, I was doing big things, and the people that were reaching out to me, they still reach out to me, and the reason they still reach out to me is because I never put them on blast.
Right.
But it's some of the biggest companies that you can imagine that have reached out to me to do business and not the clean way. You know what I mean? Because
listen, I tell folks all the time, I don't bank with this, you know, Wells Fargo, but Wells Fargo they do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
Predatory loans, they get fined. They don't mind because, you know, I live in a banking city, so I live in Charlotte. So you hear about all what all the companies do. I'm like, damn, Wells Fargo just a big time, you know, loan shark. That's all. But they not going.
HSBC. People don't even know HSBC stands for Hong Kong Shanghai Bank. People don't know that's a Chinese bank, and they crazy. They done been to court so many times.
Right. They launder money. They launder money. I'm not mad at it.
Me neither. But me, I get all of this time, and it's like what I did was like this much of what these companies do. You know what I mean? But I don't have the power they have. I was, you know, a little young black girl.
Yeah.
You know, and it's being a female, not just being black, just being a female, period. That industry is run by men. So it was like, you out your place, little girl. You need to go back over there somewhere, maybe go do some little scams or something. You know what I mean? Because I'm talking about $150 million projects, 500 million. You know, I had people coming to me for $1.5 billion worth of proof of funds to do these huge trades. And I'm the one providing all the paperwork to make this happen. You know, it wasn't no little, pretend play. This was real stuff. You know what I'm saying? And every day I learned something else. It even got to the point where I was getting ready to open my own bank. Not in the United States, but I was going to open my own bank and kind of do what these other banks are doing. It was called a bank corp. And I was going to open up my own, you know, overseas and basically do everything a bank could do, except give loans. I could take deposits, you know, I could do CDs, and I could do bonds, and I could, you know, trade, you know, but the biggest thing was that I was going to be able to do the same thing that people were paying me to get done. I was going to be able to be the provider. I would have, without a doubt, had not got in trouble, I would have made $100 million. When they came to me, I had $22 million in the pipeline of deals to do.
Wow.
So I know for a fact, you know, but I'm glad that didn't happen, because then we wouldn't be sitting here right now. They'd have Bernie Madoff me. I'd have never came home. So
never. No, never.
Mm-hmm.
But you're home now. You look well, so that's what's up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'll be cold as hell this winter, but it's.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell folks like where they can? Because I'm still on the book. I love children's books. When I was a kid, I can't draw, so that's what stopped me from doing it. But I would write like little short stories. So I think it's amazing that you actually did it. It's published. You got games and stuff to go with it. Tell people where they can find them.
Oh, sure. They could go to Amazon, and put in AISHA Hall books, and all my books come up. I think like 7 or 8 of them come up on Amazon. And the children's book is there. It's a must-have, I think.
No, I think it's a must-have, because like when we talk about activism, a lot of times we talk about like political activism, not a financial activism, or like people want to do like a prison reform. When you start talking like financial reform, you know, a lot of people's in prison because they didn't come up with the finance. So if you can teach people how to get some money, they might keep that ass out of the jail, because they don't have to go, you know, when they mature, they don't have to go certain routes. So
no, absolutely.
that financial activism is something else because I think a lot of us know how to get it, but don't know how to keep it, especially with tax.
And some people, yeah.
Go ahead, sweetie. What you gonna say?
Oh no, I was agreeing with Aaron. You know, I think it's amazing that you have that tool. I think that because it's a children's book, like you said, the parents can learn from it too, but not feel stupid. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They're learning with the kid, you know?
And they have a guide. So it's like, if they don't really know how to have that conversation, because it's like, how do I start? I don't want to confuse them. It kind of gives them a guide. But also, you know, if you just keep it all the way above, the reason people are in prison is unless you're on drugs, which is a lot of people that are in prison.
A lot of people.
But the other side is everybody trying to get money.
Yeah.
Every single crime is connected to money, whether you're selling drugs or scamming or doing, everything's connected to money. And the problem is when you sit there and you're able to make crazy money and then you come home and everybody's like, get a job. You know, who the hell is getting a job? You know, when you can make $10,000, $20,000 a week doing whatever you're doing illegal, you already touched that kind of money. It makes it very difficult to trade your time and energy for crumbs. So that's why it's very important for me to teach financial literacy and teach about trading and investing, because the only way to make money is not through a job. You know what I mean? You can invest. You know, I invested in a company. I don't know if you saw it on my page, you know, the banana pudding company.
Yes.
That I have. Yeah, you know, I put money into them. You know, we're in over 120 ShopRites, about to be in 300 ShopRites, you know, in a couple of weeks. You know, so that's not from a job. I'm going to, you know, that's getting residual income from that. Yeah. You know what I mean? I also, you know, I'm part of Fanmeyer. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They in the Barclays. It's a fan engagement app, and they have a suite in the Barclays, and it allows artists or any type of influencer to bring their fans with them to the suite in the Barclays to get that VIP experience. You know, I'm a part co-owner with them. Nice. And also an influencer on the app. So it's not always about a job. You know, a job to me is really, for a lot of people, I could never do it. I feel like I'm back in jail. I can't have nobody telling me you're going to work these many hours and this is it. You're going to get 50 grand for the year or 60 grand. You can't, especially in New York, you can't live out here and make less than 300,000 and live comfortable. It's impossible.
It's impossible.
Yeah, it's impossible.
It's impossible. Yeah, our peoples are from Jersey, and you know, we have people that make well over six figures. They check the check because the mortgage is something else. The property tax. Don't live in a nice neighborhood in Jersey. The property tax alone in Jersey will take that ass out because you already know about prominent neighborhoods.
Yeah, I'm in Jersey right now. This house I'm in right now, I'm in Jersey.
Oh,
what part of Jersey you in?
North.
I'm in Bayonne.
Oh, you're in Bayonne.
Oh, okay, right by Jersey City. Okay.
Yeah, right next to Staten Island by Newark, New Jersey City.
Oh, we're very.
And I'm gonna tell you, the way that money is working right now, it's like cannot. And if COVID didn't teach people nothing, you cannot rely on a job. When they ready to close down shop, what are you gonna do if you can't figure out? And there's other countries like, you know, like in China, for example, when you go down certain streets and there's all these hundreds of thousands of merchants, somebody's selling a belt, you best believe it got no holes in it. The vendor right next to them got the hole puncher to put the holes in the belt, and the person next to them got the buckles. Everybody's selling something because everybody needs something. And that's the way people come to this country and they got all this skill. That's because they merchants already. And you got to be able to be a merchant in order to really survive. You know what I mean? So that's what I really want to teach. I start off with the financial literacy on a small note, but really my goal is you don't have to be a boss. You don't have to be an employer, but you can learn to invest in different things. There's a lot of mom and shop companies that could use extra money or could use your help and will pay you in dividends or will give you extra. There's a lot of different things you can do. You don't have to be so limited to the bullshit they teach you in school. You know, that's how you really build wealth, you know, and that's what I try to teach people, because after making all of that money, it's like I'll never feel comfortable again unless I'm there or more. You know, it's like once you touch that, how are you supposed to go backward? And that's what the problem with prison is. All these hustlers that come through that made all this money, they teach you to go get a job making minimum wage. Nobody's doing that. That's just the truth.
No, I've seen even some prisons, they say they'd send them to go be a barber, knowing the states that they go to. If you're a felon, you can't be a barber. So you just show them a skill. What they gonna do? Cut their boys' hair? No.
Right. Like,
so
that's why I have a lot of respect. Do you know Richard Branson?
Yeah, of course. Virgin.
Yeah. So he went into the prison to speak And he did an interview afterwards and was like, he's like, I sat with 4 big drug kingpins. And when they come out, I would love for them to come and run some of my Fortune 500 companies. These are some of the smartest men I've ever spoken to. He said, a lot of these people that are in here, people in prison aren't necessarily in there because they want to be a criminal.
Right.
They just are impatient with the rules and the red lines, and so he spoke about how like some of these people in here are really geniuses. They just in an illegal business. But I tell people all the time, liquor at one time was illegal, prohibition.
Illegal. Right.
Now,
tobacco, firearms, everything has been illegal.
Everything. But if you own now when you see these rappers and they have these liquor deals, it's like, oh, they such a boss. They do. At one time, it would have been considered a crime. So it's like, I don't really judge people by stuff like that. Unless you physically harming somebody, it's like, a couple of white guys sit in a room at a long table and start checking off what's illegal this year and what's not. I got friends that did 20 years for weed that now I got friends that make 20 million selling weed legally. Yeah. So it's just like, who's making these rules and deciding whether somebody's a criminal or not? Those people are criminals. So, you just got to find your lane and make it work.
Yeah,
because they want to make that money.
Those are the big ones. Yeah. They'll send an 18-year-old to war for some shit that they don't even have no control over, some public interest. But but before, we like to thank you for coming on the show. But before we let you go, what message would you like to convey to everybody that's listening?
My message is stay yourself. Don't let anybody who doesn't understand your dream make you switch up. And that's something that I had to really buckle down and stick to my own style with music. People were trying to tell me, oh, you were a little bit older, you should switch it up. I said, no, my fan base will come. The people who respect what I do will come. I'm not switching it up. And I remember listening to Travis Scott on his special saying nobody wanted to sign him. Everybody thought he was like some weirdo black rock and roll rap. Nobody wanted to sign him. And now he's one of the biggest artists today. So it's like stuff like that reminds me, like, stick to your lane. I tell people, stick to your talent. Do you, be different, and don't be a follower. Just do you in your way, and your success will come. That's my advice I give to people.
We're definitely gonna have to bring you back on the podcast.
I was just thinking that too. I enjoyed you so much. I feel like there's so much more information that you have. We don't even have enough time to get it all.
I need that poem you got. I need to check that poem out you got.
We're gonna get the grandbaby some financial literacy. Because they can't listen to my ass because evidently I don't know what's going on. So I go left. It ain't the right way, but they'll figure it. But that's why we have people such as yourself with knowledge, and then you guys are giving it back, in reading form. So thank you again. You know what I'm saying? We'll see you.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
And push and run it up. I appreciate that.
Oh, so run it up. I like King and I like King in the Dress too.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
We gotta support you, you know what I'm saying? So it's just what it is.
Thank you. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time, taking the time out with us.
No doubt. Anytime, just hit me. Anytime.
We'll do. All right, now.
Okay. All right. Peace out, y'all.
Peace.
All right.
Bye-bye.
I love her.
Yeah, well,
that was dope.
It was a great interview. The only real cool people. The only thing I will say is the more intelligent you are, you see things on the outside for what they really are is a big, is just some bullshit, and then you figure out a way to do you. Boy, this government will put something on your ass if you're too smart. They will put you away for.
Yeah, that's really all it is. She breaks it down perfectly when she's basically like, that person that was whoever said, they're in there because they didn't want to have the patience to go around all the red tape and all the bullshit that the government puts in place just for you to be able to do the same thing that they're doing.
Exact same. And this government is worse than anybody can ever be because they do some shit that if we know in our own way what exactly it is. But if the general population knew the facts of how deep they get and what they can do, because the people that, I don't even think the people that get elected to public office know how deep it gets.
Mm-hmm.
And nor do they care because they trying to get rich.
Yep.
But, this is next week. We got a special guest. We gonna get this going. We started this week off great. This is the Pitchin and Grindnin podcast, man. This is what it is. All right.
Yeah, that was definitely Pitchin and Grindnin. Covered.